During that month, I pondered, what do I do? Do I go back to corporate America? Do I not? And I'd always wanted to be a speaker. And so I said, even if I have to live off my 401k for a year, I'm going to try it and see if this is really, truly what I want to do for a living or not. And 2023 was really rough because all I was doing was depleting my 401k. I was paying my own travel to speak, or maybe they paid my travel, but I had to pay, hotel, things of that nature, and meals and things. I had obviously child support now because I'm divorced. I have my own rent. I have bills. So my bills are going up and there's zero money coming in. And it was really challenging. There were a lot of days that I wanted to walk away and go, I can just go back to corporate America. Investing in yourself isn't to go necessarily see who the speakers are, because you can find a lot of speakers on YouTube, but it's to go listen to the speakers and meet the people in the audience. And that's what really helped me do things. Was it's kind of like when you know this, everybody loves the movie The Matrix, or I hope they do. When you are outside of normal 9 to 5, you're outside the matrix. And so people that are in the 9 to 5, like, go get a corporate job, go get a corporate job. Even my parents were like, you sure you want to do this? But when you find people who are set free, and free is time-based, not necessarily money-based or anything else, then when you see them and they kind of inspire you, it keeps driving you more and more. At least it did for me.
Mm. That makes a lot of sense. I can resonate that from my own personal journey. In the early, starting in 1999, I got involved in personal development, somewhat by fluke, and ended up spending a lot of money on a credit card to do a bunch of courses over a couple of years. And then that led to more, and that led to more, and real estate investment events, and so on. And, before I knew it, 10 years later had gone by, and I'd spent $50,000 on my personal financial education, and I'd gone to all these events. But through the process of that was a lot of network building and creating contacts. And that was the circle of people that I wanted to spend time with. So I 100% resonate where you're coming from. What's interesting about that, I think there's an important lesson for our listeners to be able to take away, is that you can always be building your network. Everything that you're doing is an opportunity to build up. And I used to say that I was a business card collector. People collect hockey cards and they collect baseball cards. I collected business cards, and I would
Yes.
write on the card when I received it for where I met that person and what was something unique about them. And then I had a whole binder filled with those things, so I could recall, because you meet that many people, you need to be able to recall it.
Yes.
And so it's very interesting to have that experience. And fundamentally, that also led to my being able to leave the job as an electrician and be able to start in business for myself because of that network. So I completely resonate with your message. I think it's important that people can understand, if you're not happy in corporate America, if you're not really excited about the day-to-day work that you're doing and you want to do something else, start putting in the effort to go and create the environment where you can be nurtured outside of that world so that you can build the thing that you want to do.
Absolutely. And I'll double down on that with something else. Everyone who has a job needs either a hobby or a side job. And the reason why is, like, if you looked at 2024, it was called the Great Unbossing.
Mm.
And so the Great Unbossing was so many people who were middle management, which was always the safe job, found themselves without jobs. And the only reason I didn't lose my what when I got fired is I had something else to fall back on and something I was passionate about. If I would have just been fired out of the blue and not had anything and that was my only identity, that would have been tough, because it was going into the Christmas holidays, no money for presents, without putting everything on credit cards. But because I had something that I wanted to do is why I survived it. But there's a lot of people, look at when people retire,
Mhm.
if they don't have a passion project or something they love to do, their health dwindles away, because part of our identity is what we do and what we provide. And if you find yourself without a job and you don't have anything else, it doesn't end up well for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, and I think to some degree, the Social Security concept is built around that. They have a pretty good understanding, actuarially speaking, mathematically, that once people do officially, quote unquote, do the retirement thing, the word retire means to be put out of service. And,
Yes.
and so, I always think about like a British show, like, oh, I'm going to retire for the evening. Like, yeah,
Yes.
the big long sleep is what you're going for.
Yes.
And people end up not living as long as they anticipate. And then the result of that is, once once a spouse goes, it's common that the next spouse goes in a reasonably short time frame after that. These are really common statistics. And so to be in a position where you have something that's driving you, you need to have some reason, some motivation to, you don't want to become low hanging fruit for gravity. Don't let, a lack of purpose drag you 6 feet underground?
Exactly. Well, and you asked a question earlier, and I forgot to give you an answer, and that was, how did I get going? It's consistency.
Mm,
For me, posting on Instagram, look, I sucked. Go watch my earlier videos; they were horrible, but I kept consistently posting. So now I'm at close to 1,000 posts, and mainly they're videos. But that's how I got to 200,000 followers. Wasn't through anything other than consistently posting, and something hits. And you never know what's going to hit. You can think, "Oh, this video is going to be so great," and it's not that. But it's like going to the gym. You don't go one time and all of a sudden you're in good shape. It's the consistency that which you go determines the end result of everything.
hmm, that makes a ton of sense. And at what point in, being consistent on, as example, you pinpointed Instagram. What was the point where you started to see, I guess, the lever turn a little bit more? Things started to really ramp up. Was it one particular video? Was it, 6 months in?
Probably 4 to 500 videos in. And I was at probably in 2023, late 2023, I was at like maybe 8,000 followers. And then just a few videos started to pop. One was Ryan Majin posted that video, reposted the video of him and I. Then in January, one video I posted that was just decoding somebody's face live on stage. And what I said in the video was, I said, well, their eyebrows right above their eye. And I was talking about height from eye, not eyebrow over here or somewhere else.
Mm,
And that video hit 3.5 million views,
mm,
and just the comments going back and forth and everything. And after that, it kept adding up. I was adding about 1,000 people a day to my account. But you never know what's going to hit. But the problem is, we're in a scroll society. So you
mm.
can't put something out there and go, okay, I'm done. You're fighting the scroll. And that's why you have to be consistent. Like, I'm actually disappointed in myself because I haven't put any videos out in 2 or 3 days. And I know I'm not feeding my audience. And I need to do that when we're done with this today.
Mm. And so, as part of that process and being consistent, I'm sure some of that came both from your own decision, but there would have been some coaching, some mentorship there, and suggestions from people that you know. What were you doing? 2 a day, 3 a day? What was your target? Did you have a daily target or a weekly target? How did you chunk it up so that you could move that dial forward?
Sure. 5 to 7 videos a week. I was shooting for 7. I would get up, and part of my morning routine was I would go I'd either record a video, or what really seems to hit really well is if you catch yourself as speaking at an event, go take that video, put it in Opus clips, let it cut it up for you. And then what I was doing is I was going from Opus clips to CapCut, and I was putting in B footage. Now you can actually get B roll footage in Opus clips. But what I found was it wasn't just me speaking, it was what pictures I was adding to it as well to capture people's attention. Because,
Mm,
we're in that scroll society. So what can you pop up that makes somebody pay attention for a minute? Have your captions turned on. That's a big one. Like 80% of people watch videos with the sound off. If you don't have words, they're going to go right past you.
mm,
Um, Different platforms, different things. Like if you look, LinkedIn is mainly a post a picture and write something. They just added videos recently. So I think they will catch up to the TikTok, the Instagram. But really, even Instagram, pictures aren't what's catching people's attention. It's stories and reels.
mhm.
And so it was being intentful of getting up every morning, creating a video or cutting up a video, putting in words to go along with it, and then using those two pieces of software. And that was part of my job every morning, was to do that for productivity.
Makes a lot of
And the other,
sense.
yeah, the other thing is, if somebody asks me to do something, it's always a yes, even if it's only for a short period of time. So if somebody's like, hey, there's an event in Dallas, you want to go? Sure. Does it mean I always buy the most expensive ticket? No. Sometimes I'd buy the cheapest ticket just to be in the room and be seen and to get the knowledge. But my answer is, like, if you get invited to something, go, because you can always leave. But you never know who you're going to run into that you didn't plan to.
Mm. Yeah, there's something about being in the event, and in a people-based world where technology has moved people more onto screens, Zoom features, that sort of thing. There's less and less of that connection, but there's also a higher degree and desire to have it. So I think, I was sharing this on a previous episode that there's a high degree of wanting to be able to reconnect with people in a physical environment. And I think
Absolutely.
going to live events, whether it's concerts, hockey games, whatever, those types of things, but also like from a perspective of business owners, it's actually going to networking groups, going to mastermind events, going to events where they're industry specific to learn about marketing or learn about something, and trying to get really clear on what your objective is there. Is it a certain
Yes.
speaker you want to see? Is it a photo you want to get with a certain speaker?
Right.
Or do you want to walk away from that event having had 5 of the most incredible conversations that you've ever had in your life? How many people do you need to talk to get to make that happen?
Exactly. And we've all heard it, you're one person away from your life changing. I've been lucky that I've met several people who have changed and altered my life. Janine Driver that I mentioned earlier, Brad introduced us. Her and I became friends. At the time, she was dating. So she'd send me pictures of the guys and go, read their face. I'm going to tell them that I'm going to do it. And I'd send back what their face would say. I'm like, here's what you have in common. Here's what's different. We became friends. In 2021, she was speaking at Bradley's event. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to go. And she goes, hold on one second. She calls back. She goes, you're going, but you're not going as an attendee. I'm like, what? Why? I want to go. I want to hang out with you guys. She goes, you're going as a speaker. And she'd called Brad and gave up 15 minutes of her time on stage to let me take my first stage. And
Mm.
let me tell you, it was not good. I had the microphone, it was shaking like this, and I wasn't really, my PowerPoints were kind of ugly, but I still loved doing it. And the affirmation of people could use what I was teaching immediately, even though it wasn't the best presentation, but the information made it to them. After that, I was like, this is what I want to do.
Brian, this is fantastic. We're going to talk more about your speaking and how you overcame some of those challenges when we come back after this commercial break.
Every time I started to lean away from corporate America, I got a promotion. Here I started on the help desk, second shift, and then by the time I worked my way up, I was regional vice president of sales with a $40 million book of business. But what helped me in all those are all these skills that I was learning by attending events. So how to have negotiation skills, how to understand people, active listening, because being an introvert, it didn't come naturally to interact with people. Now I'm good at asking questions, but conversing and things was kind of a challenge. And what I realized is this one skill of learning